articulation. Now I kind of, by osmosis, got this from Sonny Stitt. And I didn't realize what it was that I was doing, and my saxophone professor, he hipped me to what it was that I was doing. And what it is that I'm tonguing the first note, and I'm clipping the second note. Okay? Okay. Now, it can have the illusion. First of all, it's very articulate.
Yeah.
Okay. But it can have the illusion of actually tonguing every note. Because at a certain speed, you can't tell if the tongue is on the top, front side, or on the back side of the note. You can't hear it. Okay. And this is what Sonny Stitt does. A lot, not all the time, not exclusively. Of course, he uses other kinds of articulation, and I use other kinds of articulation too. But whenever you hear me playing at a certain speed and it sounds really clean, it's probably Sonny Stitt articulation that I'm using. Okay. Now, obviously, you're not going to start at that tempo, right? So, same thing. Just take some scales that maybe take a scale 2 octaves or something. And it has to be very, very abrasive. This is not a finesse thing. Okay? At first, we're doing the heavy lifting. You do the refining once you can play it consistently and you can play it fast.
Okay.
Then you start to ease up on the clip. But the clip is supposed to be abrasive.
I'm not tonguing both of them.
No, yeah, you're not tonguing both of them. All you're doing is you say ta, ah. And when you say ah, you just put your tongue back on the reed. So ta, and you're just stopping the reed with your tongue. Ta, da. No, it's just. All I'm doing is saying ta, ah, ta. And then when I'm saying I'm just putting my tongue back on the reed. That's all that's happening.
Okay.
I'm doing this. Da, ta, 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 ta. That's what's happening.
Okay.
Now you're just trying to make it sound too pretty though.
Alright.
It can be nasty. Da, ta, I make it sound like that.
So you're tonguing the first one, you put the reed on.
Right.
And then the tongue just goes up and it stops the reed on it.
That's right. And it's not right on the tip. It's like I'm about this far from the tip.
Okay.
Where I'm tonguing. Okay.
Huh.
Okay.
In the beginning.
Okay. Yeah. And it shouldn't be taking a whole lot of energy. So if you feel like you're having to do a whole lot of movement, then something's wrong.
Okay.
But it's ta 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 ta.
Huh.
And you do the same thing. You take that at a tempo that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And then you gradually start increasing the tempo. Okay? And before you know it, you'll be able to do that. Now, after we get to a place where you're playing that pretty fast, then you can start refining it. Okay? Because when I'm playing at a pretty fast tempo, I'm not being that abrasive. Because I still want I want my sound to be the main thing that people hear, not my tongue.
Yeah, like
right. So that being the case, it's kind of like this thing my saxophone professor told me. He said, if somebody is very complimentary about your vibrato, it means that you're probably using too much vibrato. You know what I'm saying? So whatever it is that people are noticing, that might be the thing that you need to tweak a little bit.
Right.
For that reason, once you get to the place where you can do it physically, you can do it because you're kind of building muscle and you're building muscle memory and everything.
Yeah.
You're about to be able to handle that speed. Then you can start slowing it down. I'm sorry, you can start smoothing the clip off a little bit.
Yeah. Like I feel like sometimes, like I was listening back to like us going back and forth, and like sometimes I know they like teach you like in the beginning. It's like, yeah, okay, outline. You know, the 7th of the 2 chord goes to the 3rd of the 5 chord or whatever.
Right.
But I guess I feel like the need to like lay it on thick every time, or whatever. Like I'm listening to my playing, going like, yeah, okay, I clearly know that happens, but I don't think I need to like
be so literal.
Yeah. Be so literal.
Right. I know what you mean.
Stuff like that.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I will, I'll pick a 2-5-1 or a turnaround or a pattern, and I'll learn it in every key. But that hasn't really been like a major part of my development as a player. Most of my development as a player, even scale theory and all of that stuff. I know stuff. I have to teach it, so I learn stuff so that I can teach certain things very specifically and find some ways that work. But the way that I teach is not the way that I learn. Not at all. It's not the way that I learn. Now, I'm going to say this. I think that a lot of teachers make the mistake of just teaching the way that they learned. The reason is because hopefully along the way, along your path, you discovered some better ways, to come about certain kinds of information. And you probably thought to yourself, man, if I would have known this, if I would have done it this way, this would have been the best way to deal with this. I could have cut off 2 years off of this time just by knowing this information. And hopefully what the teacher does is passes that information on to the next generation. Then the next generation, the next people, they make the same thing. They find some holes in the way they learn, and they get more efficient.
Yeah.
So the students are able to get to the place where the teacher is faster than the teacher was in every generation. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not what usually happens. What typically happens is a lot of teachers' biases, because based on the way that they learn, they just teach the way that they learn, and so then the stuff doesn't happen faster. And then you have a lot of teachers that they won't show you stuff because they want you to go through what they had to go through, because that's supposedly part of the journey. You got to struggle. It's like, well, all of us are going to struggle, but my struggles don't need to be the same as your struggles, plus what my struggles are going to be too. So you want me to have double struggle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, what's up with that?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. So, we can go over some 2-5-1s and some turnarounds, some different ideas, and that's great. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what my approach is to that stuff. My thing is, if you master your instrument and you know the language, then you can just speak over the changes. Okay. Now, if there are weak points in your skill set, then finding things like 2-5-1s and turnarounds and different things to help you get that in your ear so that you can understand what's going on is great. But obviously, to just regurgitate 2-5-1s and turnaround patterns every time you get to there is going to get to the point where you are right now, where you're feeling like, man, there's got to be more than this. This is not very fulfilling, because you're trying to be creative. You're trying to say something new.